Hey kids, guess what?
We're back.
We're back. We tried to do this yesterday, and while the editing, while the editing went okay, and while I was putting together, I'm like, dang, Doug is awfully loud compared to me. And that's when I was like, oh, well, I recorded directly through Team Talk. That's probably not the smartest.
Whoopsies.
Yeah, that wasn't very smart. And we got a couple things to talk to you about today. We'll start out with the bad news, and then we'll end with the good news. By the way, we are using our MV88 Pluses.
Wow, it's actually warm outside today.
That is one scary door.
Why? Why is it scary?
Because it went...
Oh.
Yeah, but... What was that?
Chickens?
Wow.
That was a chicken.
That was a chicken?
Remember the chickens from my recording that I did when I was doing the house tour? You heard the chicken way off in the distance? Yep. That's a chicken. I'm sitting outside, guys. That's the beauty of this 88 Plus. I have it sitting in the clip. I have my phone in my pocket, and I'm holding the clip in my hand. No stand needed whatsoever. So I can relax outside and podcast.
And we're going to talk about the MV88 Plus a little bit at the end because it's coming up on a year almost.
Yeah.
Since Doug and I have owned ours, and we have learned a lot about them.
Yep.
And I still use mine, and he still uses his. But that's for the end. But we have some unfortunate news about Apogee.
Well,
that I didn't want to do a podcast on, but it made me so furious yesterday. I was like, I need to do an episode, and Doug's like, well, why don't we do one together? Cool. So here we are.
Yep.
So, wow, who wants to go first on this?
Well, I can because I still have my hype mic.
You still have the hype mic, yeah.
So, basically, I used to like the analog compressor before they updated it, and we didn't realize this until, I guess, a couple of days ago. But when you put on the compressor, it actually pans you off to the left, and the more you increase your compression level, the higher, the worse the pan is. It's bad, yo. Like, oh my god, it is horrible.
It is really bad. As you can tell, Doug and I on our MV88 Pluses are not panned at all. And he has compression on, and he's not panned. And, and something else that it really irritated me. So, those of you who were on my podcast, you guys got a little bit of a thing on the last podcast about that I was so happy with the Mic Plus that I was going to go get another hype mic. Well, it's a good thing that I didn't. I decided to sit down with Doug and ask him because I noticed that when I installed the Maestro app thinking that it would work with the Mic Plus, but it does not, which is really tedious because the Motive app works perfect with all the Shure digital microphones, every single one of them. It works. Even the MV5, that one. It works fine with it. So, the MV5, the MV51, the MV88 Plus, the MV7, all those. It works perfect with. And it doesn't miss a beat on any of them. Whereas, Apogee, it only works with the Hype mic. It doesn't work with the Mic Plus. So I'm like, fine. I just won't use it to update firmware or nothing. Which I don't think there is firmware available because I've looked and looked and looked and couldn't find anything.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
Yeah, that's highly annoying.
Because I was going to update my firmware because Crayton said there was an update, and we both thought there was an update because we both looked at the app and it said there was an update. So I go to install it and it says firmware up to date. I'm like, what the hell? Really? Your app's version 12.1 and your firmware's 11 point whatever? Like, really? What the hell is this shit?
Yeah, and that's one of the many annoying things on that, and that's the biggest out of them all is that they say that the firmware is up to date, and then in the App Store, they say that they have a firmware available. But anyway, after finding that stuff out yesterday. Oh, and then Doug, tell about how you have to set up your Hype mic on your stand when you want to use it. What you have to go through.
Oh yeah, you have to put on the ball adapter. Well, yeah, you have to put on the ball adapter. You have to put the stand on the ball adapter. Then you have to plug in the cords, and you have to do all this and do all that. Whereas on the 88 Plus, all you do is open the bag, grab the clip, grab the mic out of the bag, and pop the mic in the clip. If you want to use the clip, you don't even have to use the clip if you don't want to.
Yep.
I find it's easier to hold with the clip on.
I do too. Yeah.
But and it's not as much handling noise. I mean, there is handling noise, but it's not as bad.
That's the handling noise of the clip. I'm just rubbing it. That's nothing.
Yeah. See, this is... See, and that's just me tapping it. Oh, yeah, and that's another thing. You do that with the high mic, you're going to hear boom, 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 boom.
In this file, I still have the original one that we did yesterday. There was a good clip of you handling the Hype mic yesterday, and I will insert that right here.
Look at this. It picks up more mic noise too.
So that way you guys can get an idea of what we're talking about. And the mic, and don't think just because you get a Mic Plus that you will not have that problem, because guess what?
You will.
You will.
You will.
Because they're the same body design. So, yeah, you'll have that problem still. And, so, I mean, just everything added together, we're still keeping our Apogee products, but we've already decided that from now on, we're just going to keep using Shure products.
Yep. If my 88 Plus ever breaks, I'll get another one.
I'll get another one when mine breaks.
I don't plan probably on upgrading mics anymore.
No.
I was thinking about an MV51, but nah. I mean, why?
And see,
because
this mic is perfect. It really is.
Yep.
And it's got a great sound to it.
Yep.
And so that I just wanted to talk to you guys about that decision that Doug and I ended up coming to a conclusion of, because while Apogee, I think, really did try, and something else I didn't really like, I felt like I wish that they would give you more customization with the EQ. Doug and I yesterday were talking about this yesterday. Sure, by default, and by the way, I think you ended up putting yours back to default, didn't you?
No.
No? Okay.
Not yet.
The way you're hearing my voice right now is actually at default. And I've got the gain set to a good level for cardioid. That way I'm not clipping. at all. And this is no compressor. I'm blind. No compression.
Well, obviously.
No.
You haven't been able to see for all your life there, buddy. So, yeah, you're pretty much fucking blind.
Yes.
Yes!
Yes! Mommy! Anyway.
Damn, listen to that wind.
And see, the windscreen is doing a very good job. A very good job.
Whew, damn.
Wow. I'm very impressed with that. And that's interesting that you're actually outside in this one. That gives a good example of how it does outdoors.
Yep. And you get to hear the chickens too.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. So anyway, with the Shure, even though it's broken right now, but I'm sure they are working on a fix for it.
I don't really consider it broken because, I mean...
Not really, because it's just the EQ. Even though you can't adjust the EQ right now, it still has a good sound otherwise. It really does. You can adjust everything else. So like your polar pattern, whether the limiter's on or off, whether you got compression, whether you got the...
Yep.
I call it the bass roll-off,
The
but
limiter.
there's another thing for it.
High
High-pass filter is what it's really called, but I call it a bass roll-off. But, I mean, all that still works. And, I guess I better, before we get on to the MV88 Plus a little bit more, I almost forgot to talk to you guys about an issue that I had, and I'm still having with the Mic Plus. And it doesn't...
I forgot about that.
It doesn't prevent it from being unusable, but it's fairly annoying and tedious. So, with the Shure, if you guys own any Shure product, whether it's the MV7 or MV88 Plus or anything, when you use it with an iOS device, it works very, very well. Now, of course, when there's no audio going through it, you won't really hear, like, you won't hear your monitoring, but when you flick on the screen, it comes back and it remembers what your blend setting is that you had in the app and everything. Whereas, if you tell the Mic Plus that you want more microphone monitoring and less of the phone audio, it doesn't mean that it's unhearable. You can still hear it, but it just means that it's less. If you tell the Mic Plus that you want that, and then the audio drops, and then you flick on the screen, and then it comes back, the audio is super duper loud. And it scared me so bad I almost wet myself the first night I got this. Yes.
Damn.
It scared me so bad that I nearly wet my
I'd rather pee
pants.
myself than shit myself.
Yeah.
I'd rather
yes.
pee myself than shit myself, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was quite scared. And then another issue that I'm having too is I have a keyboard for my computer that has a hub built into it. It's a USB 3 hub. Now, it's not really useful for drives, but for mixers and things, it's very useful. And for mics. With the Shure mics, it works fine, and with every other mixer and things, it works fine. However, with the Mic Plus, every time I connect it to it, like Doug would sound choppy right now if I had it connected to it. Or VoiceOver, which is the screen reader I use on the Mac, would sound very choppy. And it's... I don't know what to make of it. It's very tedious. And I don't know why they had to do it that way. I don't like that. I wish they would have, well, done something different and changed the way that the mic power is, because it doesn't. Now, if you plug it directly into the computer, don't do that. But again, you still have that drop problem where the audio drops and then it comes back, and then it comes back really loud, and then you have to mess with the blend button to get it back where you wanted it. But, yep. Now we can talk about the MV88 Plus, which we've nearly owned for a year. Wow.
Yeah, because you got yours on what? Sometime in July. 'Cause that's when
early July.
I got mine on July. I got mine on July. You might as well say July 5th, because that's when I unboxed it. Damn! Holy shit!
It don't even care, dude. That's crazy.
Wow! Well, I am sitting on my porch, so it's covered, but I mean you can hear the wind. It's nuts.
Wow. That's
now, see,
crazy.
it might be a bit different if I walked out in the yard, but I mean, but yeah, you might as well say July 5th, because that's when I unboxed mine. I think it was July 5th.
I think, let's see, when was the 4th last year? That was Sunday, wasn't it?
Yep.
I think it was.
It was. I remember that because I was at my aunt's house, and
Yeah,
Mom called me, and she's like, "Oh, you got a package," and then I was like, "Oh boy!" And then I unboxed it the next day, which was a Monday, July 5th.
Yes, and if you guys
And that's when
want to
me
hear
and
that
Crayton did our.
podcast, you guys can.
That's
listen
when me
to
and
that.
Crayton did our review.
Yes, we did do our little review, and that actually came out very well.
Yeah, it did. And you can find it on Crayton's on his new feed. I think it's on the MV88 Plus unboxing, isn't it? Didn't you include that in the?
I think. If not, I can.
It's the one for the unboxing, at least on your feed.
Yeah,
It's
the
like 40
unboxing's
minutes
on
long.
mine. Yeah, it's where I unbox it.
It's like 40 minutes long.
Yeah, it's fairly
I was
long.
So I was like, that's got to be where we reviewed it, because I don't know.
I think
Might
so.
be, might not be.
It might not be.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh boy. But yeah, this mic has been great and continues to still be great.
Yes, and it's one of the better digital mics that's out there that you'll find now. Boy, what to really say about it? I mean, there's not really too much to say. It's just a very simple,
very small little handheld microphone, and it's to be a small microphone. Boy, it sure is powerful.
yeah, it is.
And it's really concealable too. I mean, like you could put it in your pocket and just record.
I mean,
Mhm.
And it's the only mic that I know that you can really adjust the stereo with. Like, they have other ones that, like, have presets where they've got, like, wide stereo. And that can go bye-bye. But anyway, you know, they have other mics where they got presets, like, you know, of different ones, but this is the only one where you can thoroughly adjust how wide your stereo field is.
Yep, and this thing goes wide to, I mean, really, like, super wide.
It goes really wide. If you go back and listen to the review that Doug and I recorded last year, I was in mono on purpose because I wanted you guys to hear how wide the stereo field was.
You mean stereo? Because you said mono.
No, I was in mono,
bro.
No, I was in mono on purpose. Because I wanted them to hear how wide the stereo field. Because if both of us were in stereo.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think I was in stereo.
Yeah, I had you go into stereo
remember.
in that.
Yeah.
And then I
did my house tour in stereo, and that was fun.
That was fun. Go back to...
Go back to my feed, the
yeah,
Doug
and
Couch
listen
Show.
to that.
If you haven't listened to it already, go back to it and listen to it. And if you're new to this feed, hop on over to my feed, and I'll tell you a little bit what my show is about.
Yes.
So I do crime show reviews, I do book reviews, I do talks on different things. Like I said, I do game reviews. I do unboxings. You know, the way I can best describe my podcast is it's like a YouTube channel. With me, you never know what you're gonna get. It's like, you never know what you're gonna get. I mean, it's just always something different.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, the great thing is that there is something on there for literally everybody on his feed.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe eventually we should do a podcast about what got us both into podcasting. That would be an interesting subject in itself. Because
why not include it on this one? I mean,
we can.
It's,
heck, this could be like a multi-podcast, really.
So I just say we go for it now.
Yeah, why not?
So I'll let you go first.
Okay, well, years ago, before I knew Doug or really anybody online, I discovered a site back then, www.blindcooltech.com and blind-geek-zone.net, I think is what it was. And one was done by Larry Scootcon, and then the other one was done by Rick Harmon, who's also from Ohio, except he's way more north than I am. But anyway, so I discovered both of them and discovered, what different... I discovered about a service called Bavis. It was a service from the United Kingdom called bavis.co.uk. And
oh, wow.
I remember at the time, the only thing you could really do with your feed was add a title, add a description, and that was it. And then upload episodes. But they could only be, what was it? I think it was like 50 megs or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was almost like, if you remember, Doug, that was like any audio because they could only be a certain meg.
Yeah. I think that's the way Anchor is, too.
They have a certain amount, but I think I've uploaded before. I think I've uploaded before over 50 megs, I think.
Okay.
I know they've got a time limit, and I've had to split files before.
Yeah, it's only an hour. Yep.
And
I did that.
I've had to split files before.
Well, that's only if you're doing it on the phone. If you import your file from the computer,
yeah,
that's not gonna matter.
No,
It can be as long as you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. If you do it on the phone,
but if you,
you have to do that, which I've done that there too. But anyway, before that, I had started making tutorials of different things. I remember a couple of them. I don't remember them all now, but I remember I did one on a program that used to come with JAWS back in the day. It doesn't anymore because this product isn't around. But it used to be one on... I did a tutorial on PackMate Desktop, and it was a way for you to control your Windows machine that would have JAWS on it via your PackMate. And that was quite nifty. And so I did a tutorial on that just with a laptop built-in mic. And I didn't care. I used the Windows built-in sound recorder.
Wow.
Yeah, I used the Windows built-in sound recorder. And, I mean, it worked. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say it didn't because hey, it ran, it worked fine, but boy oh boy, looking back now, it had a lot of hiss, and if I didn't use external speakers and just had the screen reader go through the internal speakers, it was a mess. So I started uploading tutorials there, and then once I got on Skype and started talking to people, I started getting the word around about the feed, and everybody started, subscribing, and they were like, "Hey man, when's the next episode gonna be around, bruh? When's it gonna be around?" I'm like, "Well, I'll get to it." Well, then, thank God Doug never saw me with this kit, because the first one that I had didn't last very long. And I think I know why. I had bought, and this is when you could buy them brand new. It was the Behringer Podcast Studio USB podcasting kit, version 1. And I say that because now they got version 2 out, which is a lot better. It's got a nicer board. It's got nicer stuff. But version 1 had a mixer that you had to plug into the wall, and then you had to connect a USB audio interface to it that had it had 2 input connections and then 2 output connections. It was a mess.
Wow.
It really was. And I had at the time, my stepdad did it, and I just left it. I didn't bother to unhook it or nothing. Although he told me to, but quite frankly, my mom said just go against what he said and just leave it connected. Because it was hectic. Because the mixer wasn't, especially teenagers now know all about USB mixers that don't require wall power. Well, this one did. It was old enough to where you had to run it through wall power, and it was tedious. So I really didn't like that, but I made it work. And my dad found, when he was painting in an apartment one day, a bag on wheels that fit the podcasting kit perfect. So it fit the headphones, it fit the mixer, the audio interface, all the cables I needed, and it was a nice bag. Well, one day I noticed that the power jack on the mixer was coming loose.
Oh no. And
I noticed that everything on the mic was being panned off to the left, and I'm like, this is not cool. So I really wasn't happy about that, but I was like, well, okay. So anyway, I told my dad about it, and him and I sat down on eBay one day, and we ordered and I still have one, and you can still get these brand new, and Behringer still sells the crap out of them. That's when I bought my Behringer 302 USB mixer, and I immediately fell in love with it. I could use it with Skype. Then one issue I had with the first podcasting kit was that I could never use it with Skype, because it always had a loopback feature, and there was no way to turn it off but yet still hear how your audio levels were. You either turned off the loopback feature and it turned off your monitoring, or you turned on the loopback feature and it turned on your monitoring, and the 302 fixed all that.
So, with the podcasting kit volume 2, Does it have the 302?
It sure does.
What kind of mixer does it?
It's got
nice.
the 302. It still has the same mic. The microphone wasn't bad. That wasn't the issue, nor was the stand. The stand was fine, and the clip was fine, and the headphones were even fine. In fact, it was those headphones that I got you. It's those same ones.
Oh, wow.
And, everything like that was fine. But the big issue was that the mixer and the interface did not play very well together. And plus, they were quite noisy as well. That was another issue that I faced, was that they were very noisy. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, I got that second 302, and one unique thing that it allowed you to do is if you had an old analog headset, you could connect it to that board and use the headset as a microphone to that board. It had an 1/8-inch headphone jack, so you didn't have to have any special stupid adapter. And, anyway, I had that 302 for a long, long time, and I ended up having to replace the first ever XM8500 I had, mainly because the wire shorted out on that, and so every time it would come on, it'd go like this. So I had to replace it, and that one is still working perfectly fine. Then that 302, actually, I would still have it, but unfortunately, it got ruined in a basement flood. Lovely, right?
Yeah, right.
And so then when I moved up here, I ended up replacing it. And then when I moved up here, that's when Doug actually started telling me a little bit about Anchor. And I'm like, Anchor? What? And he's like, well, look it up. It's a free podcasting hosting service. You get your feed and all that, and you can do whatever you want with it. And I'm like, well, this is nifty. And so even though I've gone through a few feeds, and I've continued to fall back on Anchor because Anchor still, in my book, still has some really neat stuff. And of course, I've gone through a lot of different microphone setups and different microphone configurations and things of that nature. Like I remember I went through a couple of Blue Yetis. In fact, I had to throw my one Yeti out today that I was going to send to a friend of mine, but ended up having to throw it out because and remember how we were talking about those little washers, Doug? The ones on the Shure are actually bigger compared to the ones that the Yeti has. The ones on the Yeti are a lot smaller. And as a matter of fact, they're so small that I dropped one, didn't even realize it until I stepped on it. So, to say I was pissed is not even genuinely politically correct. I was more than just pissed. But anyway, I've gone through a lot of different recording setups too. Like I remember I purchased Gold Wave for Windows. I purchased Total Recorder for Windows.
Oh boy, we got some memories with that thing.
Oh yes. Boy. Not podcast related either.
Well, actually, yeah. It was podcast.
Yeah, no,
related.
it was. That's right, because I did edit your stuff, didn't I? Yeah, I did edit the one thing, and if they go back to your feed, they can hear it.
Out, go back to a couple years ago. It was New Year's. It was New Year's of 2021, I believe.
I think so.
It was the one where I was showing It was the one where I had the hype mic and I was showing a YouTube video, and I was drunk that night. So yeah. So yeah, go back and listen to that if you want to hear the edits or some of them. I don't think I put all of them there, but yeah.
Yeah, I think you.
I think I might have put that. I think I might have put that in my 300th episode too, just for fun.
I think so. But now I have the MV88 Plus and the MV7 as my two main microphones that I use. The MV7, of course, the one that I have. Now, they do have a version that does allow you to not connect to mixers, and it just does USB and iPhone mic, iPhone connectivity and Android. But I have the...
They do?
Yeah, they do. Yep. Yep, they do. They have an MV7 that is literally like the one I have, except it's a little bit smaller because it doesn't have XLR. It's just USB. And it still has the windscreen, and it still has the touch controls and everything else. But anyway, that's another subject. But anyway, and I still have a 302 here. I have a couple of them here. One's a backup in case I need it. But I've enjoyed podcasting quite a bit, and I'll let Doug tell you about his, because his is actually a little bit more interesting than mine, I think. How he came to podcast.
I had met Casper on Vowrail, and she was the one who had told me about Anchor.
I forgot.
Well, actually, Casper. I think I knew about Anchor. I think I knew about Anchor before Casper, but when I was on Anchor, you could only do like 5-minute clips.
I forgot about that.
They updated Anchor to where you could do a full podcast. So I looked up Casper's podcast and started listening to it, and she was like, you should start your podcast. You should start a podcast. I'd be really interested to see what you got to say. Me and her have done some podcasts together. Those were way back when I started. See, this podcast has been around since July of 2018, so it's been around a while.
It sure has.
People say, well, why haven't I gotten a lot of traction to my podcast? Well, I mean, I guess it's all in the work and the dedication you put into it. I'm not really sure, but I mean, I've wondered that myself. I'm like, this podcast has been around for years. How come I haven't picked up any more growth than I already have? And it's kind of frustrating because, I mean, when you put out a podcast and your goal is to help somebody, and your goal is to, to touch somebody with something you said, or make somebody laugh and help somebody get through their day. I mean, I don't know about you, Crayton, but all I want is some feedback from just somebody random. And it's like,
and that would be nice.
It's like,
and
it's like,
I think about that too with mine, because the feedback I get is a lot of it is from people that I know, and I kind of get the gist of what feedback they're going to give me.
It's like, your podcast is good, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and it's like, well, cool, but I want, it would be nice from time to time to have feedback from somebody that you don't know. And, but, we still continue to do our podcasts, and I don't think we'll be giving up anytime soon. I know I won't be.
Nope.
It still is fun to record content and to produce content like this, and I still really thoroughly enjoy it personally, and will continue to.
For me, it's kind of therapeutic because, I remember back when I did my, I've done several episodes, Breakup Suck. So this was shortly after me and my ex had broke up, which we were together for almost 11 years. And then I, shortly after that, put out a podcast called You're Stronger Than You Think You Are. You can get through it. You just gotta, put your mind to it and go, look at it with a positive head. But, sometimes that's easier said than done, man. I've also done a podcast on depression. This was back right before I had my hernia surgery. I was scared and so I had to basically pump myself up for the surgery. So I did the podcast, not only for me, but for other people who are struggling with depression, So if you want to go check those out, go check those out. Again, the feed is the Doug Couch Show. You can follow me on Twitter at Douglas_Couch. And that's pretty much it. I had a TikTok, but my TikTok profile, I got kicked out of TikTok for whatever reason. But man, whatever.
That's strange. But whatever.
Yep.
And of course, sometimes Doug and I will get together and we'll sit down and do podcasts like this, even just for fun.
Yep.
And there is a couple mics that Doug and I have also had together. We had hype mics at one point together.
Yeah.
And then mine went bye-bye. Anyway. And then we had that Samsung satellite. Some might remember that.
That was a mess.
That could have been nice, but they had some things about the way they set that up, especially with the mute touch control, which really wasn't terrible.
Oh, look, there goes a plane.
Oh, I hear it.
Yep.
You can probably hear my background more than anything because I have my TV and the XM dock on.
Yeah.
But anyway, that mute touch control was literally in the way of everything. Like, literally. In the way of everything. And it was tedious.
And then you had the stupid cable issue.
Oh, yeah. Where I contacted him about cables and I said, hey, I have tried to use a standard USB-C to Lightning cable, just like you guys supply, and it won't even recognize the microphone. I'm like, why is that? Oh, well, you can go on cable and get our website. And they sent that, or you can go on our website and get wait, our cables and get what the hell? Anyway, you can go on our website and get cables. There we go.
No, you can't. You cannot.
The thing is, you can't. Yep. The thing is, you can't.
If you can, they're hidden somewhere where you can't find them.
Yep. Because I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't see them. Couldn't see them. But
in fact, I didn't even see where they sold anything.
I didn't too much. I only saw a couple things, but I think that I think Samsung.
I mean, maybe you can now, but I know back then you could.
You couldn't. But
that might be an interesting thing to look up and see if you can get them now.
Yeah, I'll have to look and
now.
see. I'll look. In fact, hang on.
Look now. I'm gonna see if it.
Shoot. Yeah, I'm right here. Let's see. Let me see.
But and it took them forever to get back to him too. It was like
about
3 months
good couple
later.
months.
I was like, jeez. Whoa.
I'm not seeing anything.
Whoa.
Yep. I'm not seeing it at all.
Wow.
Oh, and then Doug and I also did a review of the Samsung Go, which was hilarious.
Oh, God. Yeah. At least that one you can find cables for.
Yeah, you can find cables for. It just takes the standard.
It takes a MIDI
USB, to USB-A.
Because I don't think they make mini USB to Lightning cables. I don't think they make
no, For that one, if you wanted to use it with your phone, you'd have to use one of those camera kits and just do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean...
And
But the MV88 Plus has been the most successful out of them all.
yep, I agree.
And I'm definitely happy with it. And so that's both of our podcasts. How we got started with them and where we are now.
So, and I want to mention something else here too. Why? Okay, and you may not think this is something we should talk about, but why is it that some women want to sit there and go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to a man or a dude who doesn't do nothing but abuse them? Why is that?
Good question, because I don't know.
Why
and there's so many
is
of them.
that?
Yep.
And I find it more and more.
There's so many of them.
And you know, Crayton, I'll just say this. She's back. Well, she's not back talking to him again, but he did call her the other day when she switched phone companies. And she answered him. I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, why?
Oh, that? Okay.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
That. Okay. Well, we could talk more about that after we're done recording, but wow. Yeah, that ain't cool.
But seriously, I don't understand why women... Well, some women, I'm going to say all, because all women ain't like that. Some women have a fucking brain.
Yeah.
It's like all women say they want nice guys. Well, why is it most of the time that the nice guys finish last and the motherfucking dickheads finish first? Like, they end up with a woman who wants somebody nice, but yet they're fine with going back and forth to the same douchebag motherfucker who beats them or either, verbally abuses them or does this or does that, and you still go back to him. Why?
That's a big problem that is growing more and more and more, and it's a problem that it just makes you wonder. I mean, do people like abuse?
For real. Like,
do people want to be abused? Do people want to live an abused life?
I mean, maybe they're just blind to it.
And I think that's a lot of it. And I think, because I know both of my parents really hit it hard, especially when I was a teen, about, if you're abused in a relationship, get out of it. And so I've always took that to heart. And they are not just talking about physical abuse, but they're also talking about mental, the mentality of abuse.
Yep. Mental abuse, verbal abuse.
Yeah. And, my parents always were big on that. And so anyway, it's a sad deal. I know a lot of women who go back to the people that abused them, and then they get abused even more until it literally kills them.
Or they get killed by
or they get killed. Or sometimes it'll bring them to suicide.
Yep.
It'll bring them to suicide, and that's.
Or some of them have the courage to buck up and get out of there. And for the ones that do, I applaud you so hard.
That's right.
I applaud you so hard, man. All I can say is, man, if you're a woman being abused right now, get the hell out of it. And I mean, I know it's hard because, I mean, let's be honest, my relationship with my ex wasn't the best, but I mean, she never physically hit me or anything, but I mean, there was some, I guess you would call it verbal abuse because, I mean, I don't know, but you know.
But I mean, literally, to any woman who's being abused, really just sit down and just really make a plan to get out of there. You know,
is it worth your life?
And you really have to consider, because if all you're doing is getting abused like that, how are you living? That's what I want to know. How are you living?
There's no such thing as living like that.
Yeah.
If you're with an alcoholic, a drug abuser, or anything of that nature.
Yeah, and if you say that you're living, you're not really living.
If you sit there and say you're happy, but and yet the people around you can see you're not happy, and yet you say, "Oh, I know." Well, if you know, then fucking do something
about it. You know, do something about it. And that's really the thing that irritates me is when you tell somebody something and you confront, because really, and this goes to blind people, okay, specifically. I just want to say this. Expressions can really tell a lot about how your emotions are.
Yep.
Expressions can really tell a lot about how your emotions are. I can recall many times where I've told family or I've told I'm fine, and then you're not fine. What's wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
What's wrong? And
yep.
And so if you think that you're looking fine, trust me.
You're not.
You're not.
You're not.
You're not looking fine. You're not looking okay. You're looking distressed and you're looking terrible. And that's
you stay
where
in
you
an
need
abusive
help.
Relationship long enough, you're gonna fall into depression, and that's gonna. Trust me.
Don't
you
go
do not
there.
want to be in that shit.
Yeah, don't go towards depression at all.
No,
because if not only undiagnosed, but it could lead to even death if you're not careful. So it's just interesting you brought that up, because I've had that on my mind here recently too. Yep. Sad.
And I know two people in particular that I'm not going to say their names, but one was going through it. She got out of it, and well, yeah, that's all I'll say. And Crayton, you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do.
You know who both of the people are I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. Yeah, and they got out of it, and now they're back in it again.
Yep.
Simply because they didn't take the steps to stay out.
Well, the one's not in it anymore, but she's still talking to the one that
put her through it.
Did it?
Yeah, that put her through it.
And it wasn't so much him. It was more his parents and him both.
And him, yeah. And see, it's worse when you get other family. Like, it's real bad when, you know, you have an abusive abusive partner, but it's real bad when you get family involved, and that's hard. Oh, I've been there, done that.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been there, done that, and that's not pretty. But if you're going through abuse, really think about, not only is it worth it, but if you know that it's not worth it, then seek help. Because there is help, and there is hope, and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep. That's why I tell all my female friends, like, I'm always here for you. That's what I tell them. I said, look,
I do too.
It doesn't matter what time of night that it is.
Call me.
Hit me up. I will talk to you.
Yep.
I will talk
Call
to you,
me.
man. Oh.
But I mean, and I'm the same way too, because I know quite a few females, even some of them that Doug don't know, but that I know, that are going through abuse right now. I can think of one individual who had a baby. The dad didn't show up, and now she's dealing with scoliosis, which is not good.
Shit.
And plus, she's going out with all these other guys, and they're trying to abuse her with drugs.
Man.
And it's hard because the girl has a hearing impairment, and if she doesn't have hearing aids on, she can't hear worth a crap. Like, and I'm not saying that to be mean, but she can't if she doesn't have hearing aids on, and that's what's hard.
And why is it that women out there who get broken up with think that the answer is to run out and start dating all these other guys and having sex with all these other guys?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that's what she's doing, but I mean, like, dude, that's not going to do anything but you risk your life getting an STD, something you can't get rid of, something you can't wipe off. And you catch the wrong shit, it's going to be with you for life.
Exactly. I remember how I was out of high school when I heard this and when she had called, but I knew a girl that I had went to youth group back in high school with, her and a few friends of mine, and she was really, really good, very, very sweet, very kind, and she got with a guy, had sex with him, and ended up with an STD. She said that it was a rare STD, and there was a name for it, but I don't remember what it was. It wasn't, HIV or anything of that nature. I can't remember what it was, but it was a rare form of it, of an STD, and not only that, but she got onto drugs, and as far as I know, she's clean now, but she doesn't really reach out or talk to anybody who at that time really tried to help her. So I don't know how she is now. I hope and pray that she's okay, but that's just one of the many examples that I have of people that I know personally who have gotten abused. And that's a hard thing to witness.
Yep.
Especially when close friends around you,
yep,
have gotten abused.
And it's like beating a dead horse. You go back, you tell them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know," or either you're right, and it's like, well, if I'm right, then what?
Yes.
If I'm right, then why the hell do you keep going back?
Yeah, and that's really the thing, Why do you go back? Why do you go back to something that could literally torment you for the rest of your life?
Or you could end up in jail for getting pissed off and finally beating the shit out of the motherfucker.
Right. Yeah, and you could seriously end up with jail with serious charges if you're not careful.
But if you're a male and then the woman hits you first, but if she doesn't leave a mark on you and you hit her, the cops are gonna arrest. The cops are gonna arrest you, even though she hit you first, which I think is fucked up. Because this is how I see it. No, I don't agree with hitting women, but if a woman hits me first, motherfucker, if I'm gonna just sit there and be hit and not do shit about it.
Yeah, the
way I see it,
the least I would do is I wouldn't punch her to the point where I'd beat her up, but I'd be like, I'd pick her up and be like, you are not hitting me again. Mm-hmm. And I'd pin her down until the cops got there.
Yep, I would restrain her. Honestly, I really don't know what I would do when the time came. I really don't know what I would do. Are we still recording?
Yes.
I honestly don't know what I would do, and I do not condone hitting women, but my thing is, if a woman hits me first, she stepped into a man's territory because if you gonna hit me, then you're man enough to get hit back, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this is... Women, be careful that you don't hit a man and then expect a man to not hit you back, because, quite frankly, a lot of men, especially if a man is already abusive and you go to hit, he'll abuse you even more. And that's no joke.
And then, okay, this is just me. I'm going to recall a story I had with my ex. So, this was me. Okay, she gets home one day and she leaves the door open and I don't hear it. I don't, hear that the door's still open. So she comes out and she's like, why don't you close the door? There's water all over the floor. And I'm like, well, hey, I'm sorry, And 2 or 3 hours later, she's still talking about this. She's still hopping on it. Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? Blah, 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 blah. I said, look, I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? It's already done. There's nothing I can do. So I finally just get mad and I'm like, look, I want my space. Leave me alone. So she keeps trying to talk to me and talk to me and talk to me. And she blows up my phone trying to talk to me. And I'm like, look. And this was when we lived together. She would be in the bedroom and she'd be blowing up my phone. And I said, look, leave me alone. I need my space. I am pissed off right now. Leave me alone. So, no, she wouldn't leave me alone. I said, all right, fine. You want to talk? So I stormed in the bedroom and I was pissed off. So I let her have it. And, I could have went to jail that night because I was to the point where I almost wanted to just reach out and just knock her head off. I mean, no, would I have done that? No, not on purpose. But, I mean, it's like this. Don't push somebody to the point where they're that angry at you.
No. Just
because I'm not a violent person.
Don't.
I'm not a violent person. Like, usually I can just take shit and just, I'm usually just the type that'll be like, whatever, okay,
Yeah.
And that's how I handled it a lot of times. Crayton's witnessed it with me and her before.
Several times.
But that day I lost it and I scared myself because I was like, I was on Team Talk with some friends and they're like, dude, walk away because if you don't, you're going to end up hitting her and you're going to go to jail. And you might end up hurting her, and I know you don't want to do that. Because I'm not, like, if I would have hurt her and make her fall, or make her end up on the hospital, or worse, possibly could have killed her, I would have, I couldn't have lived with myself. But don't push people, man. Don't push people.
Just please don't. Because bad, violent things can happen. And we already have enough violence in our world today.
Yep.
We really do. And we don't need any more of it by people pushing other people to violence.
Nope. Mm-mm. Well, I think
we're pretty much done.
I think we're done. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So this thing won't need any editing, so that's good because we have our volume set and everything. So.
Oh yeah, you said you were gonna put a clip of the hype mic where I was.
Yes, where you beat the hype mic. Yeah, I was gonna do that.
Yeah.
I was gonna insert that, and I'm gonna do that before I save it. So.
Yeah. Overall, the MB88 Plus is a good mic, and yeah.
Yep, and mine too. And I was just opening up that file. That way, I can easily find a clip.
If you have the money and you want a good USB mic for computer or iPhone, and you want a good starter mic, this would probably be it.
Yep.
It'll be a good starter mic, and you can keep this thing, and you
can keep it for a very long time.
If you don't have the money or the space for a mixer or or if you just don't want a mixer, then you can just use this.
Because
So
a lot of times now, even though mixers are still relevant, and you still need them sometimes, but for recording conversations like this, I use software to do it anymore. Just because, really, I mean, the way that my computer is set up now, I don't need a mixer for it. Now, sometimes I'll use the mixer for a mic, but that's it. Recording like the Tame Talk site or everything is done through
software, yeah.
Oh, it's 7 o'clock. Dang.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, let's go ahead and stop this, kids. And I'll be...
Right.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Yeah.